Our next guest is the star of not one but two hit television shows, and he's got a brand new record as well. It'll be great to have him back. Hugh Dillon is here. What a man. Here's his bio.
All right, George, you want to talk intense characters? Well, say hello to Hugh Dillon. This guy is hardcore, always has been. Former lead singer of the 90s band The Headstones, now the star of two TV shows, the critically acclaimed Durham County and the hit series Flashpoint.
Danny, we are not playing chess here now.
So what's Hugh's story? Well, he grew up in Kingston, Ontario. He fell in with a rough crowd as a teen, did some drugs, sold some drugs, and then in his 20s, he became frontman for the Headstones. They were known as one of the hardest rocking Canadian punk bands of their time, and Hugh, one of the angriest rockers around. But director Bruce McDonald liked what he saw. So in '95, he cast Hugh in Dance Me Outside.
Do not dick with me!
A year later, Hugh played a hardcore rocker in another McDonald film, Hardcore Logo.
So what are you going to do when you're 45?
Well, it depends on how far my alcoholism goes.
Meanwhile, Hugh was still touring with the band and got heavy into heroin. But by 2003, the Headstones broke up and Hugh hit rock bottom. He finally got sober and turned even more to acting.
Irish pig!
Yeah, that's him getting slammed by Ethan Hawke in Assault on Precinct 13. In 2005, Hugh returned to music with the Hugh Dillon Redemption Choir. Now, along with Durham County and Flashpoint, Hugh has a new solo album. It's called Works Well with Others.
Maybe it's not that pretty. It's just a place in time.
Everybody, welcome back, Hugh Dillon.
How are you, man?
Good. I mean, Lord have mercy, dude. You got a new record, and you've got two television shows, and you got a Gemini nod for a movie that you're really acting for TV. Like, this is, like, it's coming together.
It is. My dad's proud of the Irish Catholic work ethic. Yeah, it's
People
good.
don't realize how hard it is, like how much work is involved in making a TV show.
It's a lot of stuff, but I mean, I work with these great people, so it's not like, you know, when I used to work at Alcan or worked at Canpar or the Hospital for Sick Children. These are really, really smart, fun people to be around. So it's, you know, it's exciting work.
Your job at the Hospital for Sick Children was a tough job. You were a transport guy, right?
Yeah.
Did you have to drive patients back and forth?
Well, it's different. It's kind of like being an orderly. Then, you know, you're dressed in white, and you, essentially the job is to, you know, you'll take kids in the front door, you'll go to emerge, and, you know, the nurses and the doctors, car accidents or whatever, then you take the kids to whatever ward, you know, X-ray or you take the blood samples to the labs. But a lot of it's dealing with, you know, the kids and the moms and the dads. And that was a good job. I had some, you know, the people I worked for there were great people. It was a good job.
How long did you work there?
5 years, nights.
Yo, man, you must have seen a lot.
A lot of stuff, you know, but you know, you see a lot of good stuff too. You see kids who, you know, you see the accidents and the difficult things, but you see the kids who recover, and you know, you've wheeled that kid up to the floor, and he's dying or she's dying, and then months later you're wheeling him out the front door. So it was an exceptional job. I was lucky to have it.
That's probably why you're such an empathetic songwriter, because not all of your lyrics are about you. They come from other places, and I wonder if that would have taught you how to.
I like them to be all about me, but no, I think so. I mean, it's a lot of things. I mean, you know, my upbringing, my folks are saints, and you know, but I always had these things happen in my life where you are forced to be empathetic because you see you know, the circumstance of someone else's life and how difficult it can be, and that impacts you on some level. So I think that's what it was. And I think that's why I love the, you know, the not being present at all in rock and roll, because it was the polar opposite, you know, and I think that's why I liked that for a number of years, I think.
With Flashpoint and Durham County, you have these shows where you get to, like, you're doing well and you're making a living and all that. And I wonder what the difference would be for you when you write a record now, when you don't need, like, it would be great if people bought it,
yeah,
but you don't need them to.
Yeah.
Like, you're in a different spot.
That I mean, that goes back to You know, and I hate to say it, but it goes back to the art of it. And making this record was, you know, I work with Paul Langlois, and you get in, and I found, or with Enrico Colantoni on Flashpoint, certain actors and music and painting, you'll fall into a state of grace where time stops, and you'll start something, and there's no judgment, there's no anything. It's just positive and creative, and then you're done, and you're not even sure if you did that.
Right.
And that is what it's about. And Enrico talks about those moments. And it wasn't until he explained that to me I realized that that's what happens with music, and that's what happens with a lot of creative things. It's those moments. And now I can see when they're happening.
When you're learning how to act, because even though you've done a couple of things, that wasn't the focus of your days. How do you learn how to act? Have you taught yourself the process? Because some actors go through these incredible rituals before they get into a scene.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I learned from the best, and quite honestly, it goes right back to high school. I was acting before I got into music. I had a great dramatic arts teacher at KC in Kingston, and he taught me a lot of stuff, and I learned a lot of things on stage. That's another thing Enrico and I talk about. Stage actors have I have a lot of the same qualities because I was on stage so long. I know how to, excuse me, I know how to get on stage with rock and roll, and I have one take, a beginning, middle, and end of a performance, and you have to go because it's a live audience. And I had an acting coach in LA who, and I had one in Toronto as well, who, and Bruce McDonald really, who could figure out how to get me to translate those skills so they'd work in front of a camera. Mm-hmm. And the part that's difficult is the work where you've got to study and you've got to find those rhythms. And but the part that makes it great is I work with outstanding actors daily. I mean, I learned from Callum Keith Rennie, you know, Enrico Colantoni. The list just goes on. I'm working with a guy named Michael Nardoni right now in Durham County 3, who was in HBO's Rome. They're just so generous and so gracious that you find that rhythm, and it's like playing with a guitar player or playing with a band. You know, if everybody knows what they're doing, and they're generous, it's exceptional.
The great joy for you is you get to play cops all the time now. It's
fun. That's the kid part of it. You know, you show up in the morning and they give you a gun.
You know what? Actually, I mean, without divulging too much, before they gave you the gun, did you know much about how to use a gun?
I knew, no, quite honestly, no, because it was actually that Ethan Hawke movie. That's when I first, excuse me, that's when I first went for gun training. And it's funny, the guy that taught me then still helps us on Flashpoint.
Oh, gun training? I want to find out what gun training is like. More with Hugh Dillon when we come back right after this. Gun training. I'm going to hand him a paintball gun and let's see if he can hit me.